Hey, what's up everyone? Aaron here with the Bowman Realty Group over at eXp Realty, and thanks for checking out another Facebook Live or on YouTube if you're watching this, maybe Periscope and LinkedIn depending on if the feed is working. But today I'm coming to you from Maine, so the background looks a little bit different. We're here at Moody Beach RV Resort in Wells, Maine, and before we head off to go get lobsters and stuff like that and enjoy some more family time, I figured I'd make a cup of coffee, sit down and go over some stuff that I found online that I thought was very interesting. So you might hear a little noise in the background. The kids are here. You know, there's nothing I can do about that. So just bear with me on any noise that you might hear or vehicles driving by. But the first one is 7 myths buyers actually believe. And I found this article on Inman, and it was actually kind of a good read. There are some things on here that I do think people believe that are kind of funny, and you know, that really aren't true. And I think some people just have a misconception when working with a buyer agent. Now, I primarily work as a listing agent. I'd rather list homes. I enjoy that aspect of real estate. However, I do work with buyers. But if you are working with somebody on my team or somebody else at eXp Realty or maybe a different brokerage that's strictly a buyer's agent, hopefully this will give you a little insight on the myths that surround the buying agent. So the first one isn't necessarily just for buying agents, it's for everybody, every agent out there, that agents are paid a salary by the broker and the commission is extra. That is not true. Some people within the real estate brokerage do get a salary, but for the majority of the part of agents or realtors that are either helping you buy or sell real estate, we don't get paid until the end. So any marketing money that we put up front, anything we do, we don't get paid until you close on your property. So you could, you know, we could be working together for 6 months, not find anything, and you decide that, my daughter just bumped the table, decided that you decide that you don't want to buy a house anymore. We don't get paid anything. You know, we're out any money that we put into it. So that's why it's very important for us that when we sit down with clients that we really know exactly what they're looking for and what their needs and goals are. That way there we're not wasting their time, we're not wasting our time as realtors. So the second one is every home that's for sale can be found on consumer websites. So like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, OfferPad, HotPad, some of the other ones out there. It's not necessarily true. When you are working with the MLS, or let's just say even if it's a for sale by owner, that's not going to be on any of those places unless the owner puts it up themselves. But on average, when you're working with an agent that puts something into the MLS, the multiple listing service, that data gets pushed out to the majority of the syndicated websites like Realtor.com, Trulia, stuff like that. But there are instances where that information only gets pushed out once, and if there are updates or price corrections, price drops, whatever you want to call them, that necessarily doesn't get pushed out there. So you're going to have old data on there. So it's very important that when you're looking, that you're looking at what your realtor as a buyer is sending you in your emails daily, because that's the most current and up-to-date information that's going to be ahead of anything else out there, whether you're looking on Zillow or Trulia or anything like that. Here's another one. Number 3, there's nothing wrong with calling listing agents to see if a home we are interested in if our agent is not available. So basically, if you're working with a client or you're working with a realtor and that realtor, like myself, is on vacation for a couple days and you want to see a home, you don't think you need to call your realtor, you're just going to call that listing agent. That's a huge no-no. Our job as a buying agent for the consumer or whoever's looking to buy their home, we are here to act in your best behalf or have our fiduciary duties for you to make sure you get the best possible deal and to make sure that there's no confusion or blurred lines when it comes to buying or selling. And it really sidesteps us as far as negotiations, if we have to negotiate or anything like that. And it doesn't really look that professional if the clients are calling other agents, because you're in a contract to work with us as a listing or as a buying agent. And you know, I would rather have you call me and me refer you to somebody on my team if I'm not around to go see a property, or somebody within the eXp community to go and see a property. There's more than enough of us around, especially on the team, that if you know there's somebody not available, there's somebody else that can show you. So a lot of clients think that, hey, you know what, I got nothing else going on today, I'm just going to give this agent a call even though I'm working with somebody just to see if I can get in there. And now that's that other agent that's listing thinking, hey, maybe I'm going to have a buyer and a seller. So now they're getting a little bit excited, and if they're not seasoned, they won't even ask if you're working with a realtor. 1 second. What's up? No, go ahead. What?
I didn't know you were no,
Yeah.
it's raining in Connecticut. Not like,
Oh, it's raining in Connecticut. It's going to rain here shortly. Okay. So
sorry.
that's all right, babe. So you just want to make sure that if you are working with a realtor, you go through that realtor. That way there, you can have your best interests put forward. And, you know, like I was saying before Alyssa came out, that, you know, sometimes other agents may be doing an open house and you might be stopping by. It's, you know, normally an agent should ask, hey, are you currently working with a realtor? If they don't, you should let them know. If you're just out on the weekend on an open house checking out a few different properties, because you just kind of want to see what's out there. So number 4, a house will pass or fail an inspection. This is also false. A house doesn't either pass or fail. The purpose of the inspection is to go through and tell you on that day, this is what's wrong with the property, this is what's right with the property, these are some areas of concern or what should be fixed. Like, hey, the hot water heater's not working, that should be fixed. Or, hey, your roof is a 25-year roof and it's at 23 years and a half and it's starting to show some wear, you might want to consider replacing that in the future. So your home really doesn't get a pass or fail. It's not like an A+ or an F. It just gets graded on how the property is in its current condition and what concerns there might be in the future or there are currently, and those turn into negotiating points when it comes time when you're writing up an offer. So that's also to be kept in mind. And then sometimes, you know, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. That's good enough. I think that kind of hits the point. And you know, I guess what I was going to say is, you know, with the it kind of leads into number 5, which I didn't want to jump into, but yeah, I'll just say that for number 5. Let's go to number 5. A buyer can and should ask for every item found on an inspection report to be fixed, whether it is an actual repair or even cosmetic in nature. Now, one thing I will tell you when I'm a listing agent is if we get any offers in and people want anything cosmetically fixed because they don't like the type of cabinets that are in the house because they feel that they're outdated, that's not a concern. What we're worried about is structural or functioning systems in the property not working. So you want to make sure that, you know, after you have your home inspection done, if they say, hey, listen, your roof is bad in 2 spots, that's something you want to have negotiated in the price of the purchase. So whether it's given back in a seller concession where they give you money to be able to fix that, or they fix it themselves before closing, or they reduce the purchase price to reflect the repairs that need to be done, that all needs to be taken care of. And your buying agent, whether it's myself or somebody on my team or somebody at another brokerage, will be able to make sure they negotiate on your best interests so you get the real things that need to be fixed. Like, let's say, hey, there's a leak in the sink, that needs to be fixed. Or maybe the well water on a property we had recently sell, there was too much sulfur in it, so we had to, you know, mitigate that by, you know, re-drilling, re-sleeving. There's certain things that need to be done. Maybe the septic's bad. That's a thing that needs to be taken care of, as opposed to we don't like the color of the house, we want to repaint it before we buy. That's not a real concern, and it's something that I wouldn't even suggest that my clients even put in. That's something you can do after the fact. So number 6, the lower I offer, the more the seller will come off their asking price. Not really, and it really depends on your market. If you're in a hot market and things are moving very quickly, like certain markets in Connecticut or in Talent County, if your house is built before 1970, those are selling a lot faster because of the crumbling foundation issue in Talent County. So if you have a house that was built in the 90s, it's going to sit a little bit longer. If you have something that was built in the 80s, it's going to sit a little bit longer because people are going to be a little more worried about the crumbling foundation. So it really depends on the condition of the house and the current market. If things are selling very quickly, you don't want to offer a low amount. You want to offer closer to asking. And really what it should come down to is how much you feel the house is worth and how important it is for you to start your next chapter, your memories in that house. So, you know, if you're just coming into lowball, it's not going to make the seller drop their price because they have certain obligations that they need to pay off, whether it's an existing mortgage or they need the money to move to another property, you know, to buy something else. So they have a certain bottom line. So really when it comes to offering, there's certain things when it comes to negotiations, but when the initial offers coming in, it should be based on a couple things, and the big ones are how the home, the current buyer, as if I'm working with you, how you feel the value, if the value is there or not. And like a lot of people ask me, well, Aaron, I'm looking, I want to put a bid on this place. What do you think I should bid? I tell them, listen, if you really like the house and it's really where you see your future, offer them asking price, and then we'll negotiate some things down based on the home, inspection, because there's going to be some things that are found wrong 99.9% of the time. However, if you really are just like, yeah, I kind of like it, then put in what you feel the property is worth. I hate to tell anybody what I think they should put in, because I'm not living there and it's not going to be my forever home. So I might have a different viewpoint on it than if you are going to be buying it to live in. So just keep that in mind. And that's number 7. Oh no, that was number 6. So number 7, the bank will send someone out to tell me if I'm paying too much. It's not exactly how it works. What happens is the bank will send out an appraiser. And basically all the appraisers are saying, as your home sits in today's market and in today's economy, with the improvements that have been done or improvements that haven't been done to the property of liked homes, your home would or is valued at X amount of dollars. So we will lend up to that amount of money. Now, the house might appraise for, let's say, $250,000, but really only be worth, in the open market, maybe $230,000. And that's just because of what's actually buying and selling. What the bank is looking at as if they had to lend on this, what they would lend up to, and that takes into consideration the assessed value, whether for the building and the land, the repair value, if the place was natural disaster or burnt down, what it would cost to rebuild the property. And they also going to look into a little bit more detailed as far as other homes that are similar to yours that have what's the average updates in those homes. Do all the homes have granite countertops and yours don't? Or does yours have granite countertops and nobody else doesn't? So you've kind of improved your home outside of what the value is. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I'm not an appraiser. They sit through a whole separate course than what we go through. But if you want to know more, call an appraiser. They'll be more than happy to tell you about how the appraising stuff works. But basically, you just want to make sure that I guess you should say you should understand that the bank's not going to tell you, hey, you're paying too much for this house, or you're paying too little for this house. They're just telling you, hey, listen, if you want to buy this house, we feel that the value is there for $200,000 or $300,000, and we will lend up to that amount. So that's the 7 myths that actual buyers believe. I thought this was kind of a good article on Inman. And then the other one, which is kind of funny, I just kind of ran into this. I actually follow this guy. Maybe if you guys have watched Fox and Friends in the past, this guy Clayton Morris, he left Fox and Friends a while back to become a real estate investor, and he had a company in Indiana. So I just saw this up. It says former Fox and Friends host flees U.S. aimed probe into real estate deals, basically saying that this guy Clayton Morris fled for the coastal town in Portugal in the midst of a pending lawsuit involving recent real estate deals, kind of like a Ponzi scheme. Basically what they said their business was is they would take investors, new investors' money, or seasoned investors. Andy, can you open the door for Morgan so she can go inside, please? They would take their money, they would find them a house in Indiana or some other place that they don't live in. They would buy the house, they would renovate the house, they'd put somebody in the house, and they'd manage the house. And then you would get a check every month based on whatever was left over from the management fees, stuff like that. Apparently that wasn't what was happening. Sounds like a good business model, but I guess there was in the lawsuit, I'm not going to go through the whole article here, but according to the Star Report, Morris and this guy Whalen has sold at least 7 homes in some of the Indianapolis poorest neighborhoods throughout Ocean Point, which is a company held by Whalen and affiliated with Morris. And basically there's this one guy, Danny Gomez, I believe his last name, Gomez. He told the Star that he had no idea that his $52,500 investment he had bought had actually burned down, I guess a few months, burned down 4 days after Gomez had signed the purchase agreement. And he didn't even know this had happened until he had gotten a letter from the town saying that he hadn't either knocked down the condemned building. So it should be interesting to see what else comes out of this. There have been a few other people that have come out, a few of the attorneys on the clients, on the not the defendant side, the other side. I can't think of it right now. I'm losing my mind here. The attorneys representing the buyers of these properties, let's just go that route. He puts, in my client's opinion, innocent people don't flee the country. Janelle Berkshire, a real estate attorney who is representing several of the plaintiffs, that's the word I'm looking for, plaintiffs in the lawsuit. So it ought to be interesting. I'm going to follow this and update on this because I used to listen to his podcast. Some of the information he had in there was good. If they weren't following their own information, that kind of sucks. It kind of stinks that they're putting out bad information to people who are looking to invest and have no idea what they're doing. I like working with new investors. I like showing them the ropes and what they need to do and what to look for and walking through properties. And you can make a good income with investment properties. It's just sucks that there's people out there that might take advantage. Hopefully this isn't the case with Morris. I liked him on Fox and Friends. I liked his podcast. He had some good information on there. But again, I know there's two sides to every coin, so these just might be a few people that felt they were getting into something and they weren't quite sure or 100% knew what they were getting into. Hopefully that's the case, but we'll stay on top of this and we'll see where this is going to go. I find this one very interesting, just because I actually listened to the podcast myself for a while. So that's it for today's Facebook Live. We're about 17 minutes in. Didn't want to keep it too long. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.